So there are a couple issues that I want to address in this video. Try not to confuse it. The first issue are these 4 new misdemeanor charges in the warrant, associated warrant that showed up on Christopher Ruff's, rap sheet from Apache County, where he got arrested this past Monday. Today's Wednesday. Monday the 27th, he got arrested. And then the next day, the 28th, for a bunch of charges. And then the next day, the 28th, these 4 new misdemeanors showed up with an additional warrant. So that's the one thing. There's some questions there. What's that all about? And then the main issue that I'm going to look at is just his outstanding warrants in other counties, in other locations in Arizona, and kind of just get an idea of what's up with those. What are those for? Whatever. So, and whether those two might be related. Whether these new charges and this new warrant have to do with the outstanding warrants that have been out there for 3 years. I mean, they've been sitting out there for 3 years. Non-extraditable warrants. So, outside of those jurisdictions, that no one's going to arrest him, and because the issuing counties are not going to come get him because they're not extraditable warrants. So he's been safe outside of those areas, but maybe not so much now. I'm not certain, but it seems pretty, it seems to me like that the two are related. So, if we look at the sheet, so if you look at Christopher Ruff's rap sheet for his arrest, he initially got charged on the 27th for a bunch of charges, right? And then the next day, there was another warrant that was issued, and he caught a bunch of misdemeanors, it looks like, on that warrant. And these new issues are from Rules of Criminal Procedure, Pre-Adjudication Rule Warrant, Rule 31D, right? Which, so you're wondering, like, what are those for, right? So, I kind of took a peek at the 31D thing, and the 31D pre-adjudication warrant generally comes for a failure to appear. They're bench warrants is what they are. It could be for failure to appear. It could be for not paying a fine. It could be for failure to appear. Usually it looks like, or it could be for failure to pay a fine or whatever. But they're bench warrants from the judge, like that and that's consistent with obstructing a court order. So a judge orders something and it's not you don't do it, like you don't pay a fine, you don't show up for court, whatever. That's obstructing court order, I'm guessing, and that is 31D warrant. So these look like these very well could be. I can't imagine. I mean, that he could have done something to obstruct the court related to these current charges, but I, just off the top of my head, I couldn't think of what he could possibly do unless he, really showed his ass in court or something, like 4 times in the past 24 hours or something. So I don't get that. So now that brings us to the warrant question. So the first question is, how many warrants does the guy have, right? So the rap sheet shows 4 obstructing court, right? The current most popular thing is that he has 5 open warrants out of Maricopa County. And I looked into this a long time ago, and I found 7. 5 in Maricopa and 2 in Tempe. And I think I saw him do a video not too long ago where he went over the 2 in Tempe. So either he had left those out of the 5. I mean, who knows? Like, so, and really, like, finding warrants in Arizona is not easy. It's not as straightforward as in some places or whatever. So I think he has 7, and he keeps saying 5. People keep saying 5, but I think it's 7. The rap sheet thing only shows 4. 4 lines, 4 issues, so those don't match up with any of the warrant numbers. So anyway, so the first thing I did was the Arizona Department of Public Safety has a web page where you can look up open warrants, who has open warrants. So I looked on there. Now, the issue with that is that they only show 5. So if you have more than 5, they only show 5, right? But what it did show was the 2 from Tempe, right? So it showed 2 from Tempe and 3 from Maricopa, right? But I'm going to show you where it appears that there are actually, I'll show you the 2 from Tempe. Well, I'm not going to go through those, but I'll go through it real quick. Nobody wants to get in the weeds about these these warrants. But if you want to, we're just going to go over it real quick. But if you really want to look into it, the links will be in the description, and you can go in there and look at them all you want. So 2 from Tempe, 5 from Maricopa County. So you can do a case search in Maricopa County for an individual, and you just do a search there, and it comes up with a long list here of issues. Now I already looked at these on a spreadsheet, so I don't. Let's see, don't save that. Oh no, I have it on a Word document. Okay, so here I've got these already printed out. So what you have to do is you have to click on them to see if they have a warrant. So let's just pick this one. So when you click on it, it'll show if there's a warrant, it'll come up in red, and it'll say, you know, this case has an active warrant for arrest, right? So what I did was I went through them, and everywhere there was an active warrant, I highlighted it on my sheet here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So then when you click on it, you look at 2 things: events and disposition report. So like the events will show you like what happened. Like, okay, sentencing. There was a sentencing. It was held, and it was held, and there was a hearing, and at the hearing he failed to appear, right? Failure to appear. That was on July 6, 2023, right? So that's the events, and then you can look at the disposition and see that what happened. He was found guilty, right? And he was given 5 days in jail, right? So he's got 5 days in jail, active warrant, $2,000 bond, which actually happens to match exactly what the bond is on those misdemeanors in those new misdemeanors in Apache County. If you look at those, the bond on each one of those is $2,000. So that's a coincidence. So you just go through this list, and you see, you just when you click on them, you can use my list, and you can see which ones, if you want to save it, you can look through them and look at each one with highlighted in red. You can look at that, and you can see where the warrants are, right? Then Tempe has their own website where you can look at Ruff, Christopher. Right, I'm not a robot. Search. So these come up different. So if you look at these, each he has 2 cases that are still open in Tempe, and if you look at those, you click on it and it brings it up below there, and you will see that there was a failure to appear warrant. On this particular one, there were 2 charges. They issued. He failed to appear. They just issued, 1 warrant. You don't need 2 separate warrants. It's the same case, right? So that's an open warrant. That was for disorderly conduct, fighting, and interfering with a crime scene investigation. And the second one that's still open is hindering, interfering with police, failure to appear warrant, July 20th, 2023. So he definitely appears to have 7 warrants open. So if you look at all these warrants, they all seem to cluster around the summer of 2023, June and July of 2023. Like all of this stuff, he was hit with all of this stuff, like all at the same time, it looks like, and then it just, was overwhelming, maybe, and he just bailed on all of it, and just left. So that's what it appears to have happened. And I'm guessing that the new warrant in those new misdemeanor warrants are actually related to these outstanding warrants. I mean, that would be the simplest guess. Anyway, 7 warrants, and maybe he won't. Maybe they'll ship him off to Maricopa County when the time is due. I don't know. So we'll see. All right. For now, goodbye, and have a good day.